All right, welcome to Roots of Reality Experiences. Today I'm joined by Shea Hillenbrand, who is a former two-time MLB All-Star for the Boston Red Sox and Toronto Blue Jays. Additionally, he is a motivational speaker with an Emmy award-winning story and a former zoo owner. So Shea, thanks for coming on today.
Thank you so much for having me, buddy. I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. Glad to have you. So, when did you first get interested in baseball?
It was one of those things when I was a kid, I just could not sit still. I never watched TV and I never listened to music. Matter of fact, the first band I listened to or group I listened to for music wise was Milli Vanilli at 13 or 14 years old. And if you're not familiar with Milli Vanilli, they didn't even sing their own songs. They got caught for lip syncing other people's songs. So I was always outside. I was always active, either hitting the ball against the wall or kicking the ball against the wall as well, or hitting the ball off the tee or throwing the ball, something like I never still to today. I don't really sit down and watch TV. I'm always going. So ever since I was 7, 8 years old, I played T-ball.
Wow, okay. And as I understand from sort of reading about your background a bit, you also were a pretty good soccer player growing up.
Yeah, I was always one of those kids that is I love to be active. I think I was a lot better at soccer than baseball because inherently I can anticipate where the ball would be, or I can anticipate, strategize, and be really aggressive. And I was quick when I ran and decently coordinated with my hand and feet. That being said, in high school, yeah, I was the number one soccer player in Arizona with opportunities to play after high school, but childhood dream, play Major League Baseball.
Yeah, well, it seems like it worked out, so that's cool. I mean,
Yeah,
I guess when it comes to sports, I mean, I played all sports growing up, but I always kind of felt like baseball has this kind of special vibe to it. I don't know why, but like the atmosphere of baseball with just the subtle things like just fielding a ground ball or the sound of hitting a ball with a bat. There's just I don't know, it's this kind of unique dynamic about baseball that I always felt was kind of calming and interesting and I don't know, very cool. So
absolutely. And I think what comes to my mind when you're saying that, there's so much failure around baseball. And it's the only sport that parallels life because in 2004 with the Diamondbacks, I had what is it, 580 plate appearances over 6 months. So I started every day. I was
yeah.
an everyday starter and I had 580 plate appearances and I hit 310. So if you do the math on that, I failed 400 times out of 580 in front of
Right.
the world, and I
Yeah.
made millions of dollars. So I think the failure aspect that's wrapped around baseball, it kind of brings a camaraderie, saying like, dude, like I suck too, and we're in this together. So why don't we just focus on the smell of the grass, the freshly cut grass, or why don't we focus on trying to do some teamwork stuff and the crack of the bat and the smell of the baseball leather, stuff like
Yeah.
that. So that's where Sandlot baseball comes from, and one of my favorite movies is Sandlot, and it's one of those things where it's just you just can't do it alone.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, it is funny. When you think of batting averages, I mean, just being able to hit the ball, 30% of the time, I mean, that's great to be able to do that. Uh, but but in general, yeah, I mean, most of the time you're not hitting the ball. So, and if you do hit the ball, I mean, then you still have a chance to get out if someone catches it or whatever. So, um,
Absolutely.
it is interesting in that regard. Now, I think one thing I was curious to talk to you about is like, what was your experience playing minor league baseball and sort of working your way up that system? Because unlike a lot of sports where you can be a 19-year-old or 20-year-old and go straight to the highest level in baseball, every single player basically is working their way up the ladder.
Absolutely. And I think that's the beauty of baseball because it kind of weeds out the character. It kind of weeds out the people that aren't really able to commit to it or have that determination and dedication and desire. You find out real quickly that um, talent just doesn't get you there. Talent is great, and where I take offense when people say to me, "Oh, man, you're so talented, that's why you made it." No, I worked my tail off.
Yeah.
And yes, I had a talent, but if you don't work your tail off, and if you don't understand how you function and how you work and how to navigate failure and perform under pressure and work in a team environment and show up every single day, you're not going to make it. So the thing that I tell everybody, which I think is an eye opener to a lot of people from the outside, is that they do not tell you once you get drafted to a professional team, whether it's from high school or college or as a free agent or something like that. When you get drafted into an organization, into the minor leagues, a week after you're there, 90% of guys want to quit.
Yeah.
It is so difficult for most guys. It's an aha moment. It's a really an awakening of your soul, because a lot of guys first time away from home. A lot of times, guys aren't having mom and dad enable them anymore and be at their beck and call. You're in this sea of red, and you're in this organization of hundreds of players trying to vie for 25 spots on a major league roster. So 13-hour bus trips overnight, playing in podunk towns in the Midwest. I say that because I grew up in LA. That's my memory of it. You know, they have tractors and old 1950 tractors dragging the infield. You smell the refineries from the bean factories and the corn factories. Like, you're smack in the middle of the United States, and it is extremely difficult. So for myself, I was drafted as a shortstop. I made 14 errors in my first 10 games playing shortstop professionally, and I was stinking it up, but I could hit. And the manager came to me and he says, "Hey, do you want to play first or third base?" I was like, "Yes, heck yeah, get me the heck out of here. I can't play shortstop. I'm not going to be able to make it to the big leagues here, especially with Nomar Garciaparra in the major leagues for the Red Sox organization." So I played first and third after shortstop. And after a year after that, I was player of the year again. I was player of the year my first year and my second year. And manager's like, "Hey, like, you're not going to make it at first or third either. Do you want to learn how to catch?" Sure, I'll learn how to catch, but I have no idea. I've never caught before other than like little league or my best friend in middle school. So I went to Australia after my third season of playing professional baseball, and I learned how to catch in Australia in the winter. And then I came back and I was player of the year again. I did great. And the next year I went to AA from single A. And then halfway through the season, I was on the fast track to the major leagues. I was getting ready to get called up. They're talking about bringing me to the major leagues. And I tore my ACL in my right knee halfway through that season.
Oh my God.
Took me off the 40-man roster, which limits your opportunities. I had two choices: sit there and complain about it, or do something about it. So I rehabbed. It's a 7-month rehab. Went back to AA the next year to play third base because I couldn't catch anymore. So I played third base and I did very well. And then I was I broke the league record for the most hits in the Eastern League. I think it was 171 hits in one season. So I bounced from shortstop to third base to first base to catcher to third base. And now I'm going to Major League Spring Training. The year after that, a 5th year in the minor leagues as a catcher, trying to be the starting catcher for AAA Pawtucket, knocking on the door, one step below the major leagues. And I ended up making the Red Sox team out of AA as the starting third baseman on opening day 2001 in Baltimore, Maryland. I was like, how is this possible?
Wow.
So many times throughout our career, so many times throughout our endeavor, we're going to have to pivot. You're going to have to make an adjustment. Yes, I wanted to play the big leagues. Yes, I thought I was going to be as a shortstop, but it wasn't that. I never thought I'd be a first baseman in the major leagues and play first base in Randy Johnson's perfect game in 2004. So you never know what's going to happen. You just can't give up.
Yeah, I mean, really, it is just finding a way to make it. Because you think about all the different minor league players that won't even get out of single A. You know, it's crazy. The competition level, and to be able to, I mean, you have to be really mentally tough to keep grinding on and on and on. Because I mean, I think whenever I go to minor league baseball games, I always find the atmosphere as a fan to be kind of this small town vibe. Seems like a very chill atmosphere. But these are all people with a dream they're chasing, trying to get to the highest level. And so I imagine, especially if you're a minor league player who's been stuck in the minors for years and years and years, it can be really hard to deal with that.
100%. But the thing is that the year before I was in the big leagues, I was in Major League Spring Training as a minor leaguer. And some guys get invited, minor leaguers get invited to Major League Spring Training, but mostly you're there to fill roster spots for the major leagues for spring training. You're not there to make a team because they already have the team set. Yeah. And I was in the shower one day after a workout, And I look over and Pedro Martinez is in the shower with me. And if listeners don't know who Pedro Martinez is, just Google him. He's one of the best Red Sox players ever. And he was absolutely the icon franchise player for the Boston Red Sox, one of the best pitchers, if not the best pitcher in the game, as I'm standing in the shower with him. And I'm in awe. I'm like, oh my gosh, that Pedro Martinez. I can't believe this. And he said, Shea, I watched you when I came off the field. You were taking batting practice. And that was the biggest alarming thing because here I am, a minor leaguer, and here he is, the number one, arguably, pitcher in Major League Baseball at the time. And he was observing. You have to observe everybody around you. You have to pay attention. He says, when they threw the pitch inside you, you hit it to left field. When they threw the pitch to down the middle to you, you hit it to center field. When they threw the pitch away to you in batting practice, you hit it to right field. He says it's a very dangerous hitter to face. Because now I can't just do my A game to you. I have to go to plan B, and then I have a really good chance of being beat. And all I was trying to do was just master the small things.
Yeah.
Pitches inside, hit it here. Pitches down the middle, hit it here. Pitches away, hit it here. But the next thing that he said to me changed the trajectory of my career. It is one of the biggest things I want to convey to your audience. He says, Shea, this is the secret to get to the big leagues. He says, it's not how much you know. It's how quickly you learn it is what gets you to the big leagues. And after he said that, he turned off his shower and left the shower. And I was like, what does that mean? So I was on a journey to figure out that answer to that question. And what that means is the quicker that you learn how you function, because we're all differently, is what's going to get you to rise above your competition and take you to the next level and to levels that you didn't even think imaginable. So many of us are trying to get all this information and all the training and all this stuff that we have on social media or whatever that might be, and do 4 steps here and 6 steps here. And if I just do this and do that and do it, no. How do you work? Balls inside, hit it to left field. Balls in the middle, hit it to center field. The ball's away, hit it to right field. We need to master the little things.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, baseball, especially when it comes to sports, there's so many complexities with it. I mean, I've known a lot of internationals that would come to visit the US. And one of the things I'd always kind of find fun is teaching them how to play baseball because there's so many different strategies involved in the game that it is a lot like life, as you allude to all the time. And it's amazing how you can. Sports are such a great analogy for life in general.
It's a chess match. Baseball is a chess match, and that's what it's at. And whether I'm on defense, I have to focus in little spurts, 100% specific focus and little spurts throughout the game. So in between pitches, they have the pitch clock now, so it speeds it up, but I have to focus, boom. Okay, next pitch, I have to focus, boom. And then when I'm hitting, I have to focus, boom. Okay, the next pitch after this on defense, if the ball's hit to me, where do I throw it? Okay, there's a guy on first base and third base. If a ball's hit to my left, I got to go here. If a ball hit to my right, I have to go here. You're constantly thinking and you're constantly strategizing to prepare yourself to what the game throws at you, because you never know what the game is going to throw at you. And I always tell people, like, we have a 3-game set going into Yankee Stadium, playing the Yankees. They're the evil empire. They're leading the AL East. They're the unbeatable. But at any given time, the Yankees could win the first 2 games of the series, just blow us out of the water. I remember them doing that to us many times when I played in Toronto with the Blue Jays. But that 3rd game, all the things started to go and click in our chess game. We were 1 step ahead. So now, how do we win by 7 runs the 3rd game against the Yankees in Yankee Stadium? You just got to be prepared, and you never know what chess part of the chess game that you're going to have to play.
Yeah. I mean, that's also interesting because you played in the AL East for so many years. I mean, like, the AL East is such a hard division to be in. There's so many teams that can be good each year historically. I mean, you look at the AL East even today. I mean, there's like all the teams are almost always above 500 to a certain extent, and they're battling each other. I guess they've changed the schedule a little bit, so it's a little bit more balanced in terms of they're playing more teams outside the division. But I remember, following the AL East for years and just seeing, how many of those teams could make the playoffs, but only one can win the division, only one can get a wild card spot. So.
Yeah, exactly right. And when you say that, I think of, playing Major League Baseball is extremely, extremely, extremely difficult. Hitting a baseball is the hardest thing to do in sports, period. They do studies now saying it's almost humanly impossible to hit a major league fastball. I could
Yeah.
do it in my sleep. I
Yeah.
could do it in my sleep. And the thing is like I had a little bit of talent and I had quick processors and quick, fast twitch muscles of reaction. But the thing is that I was able to implement a system and a process every single day to try to master the skill sets within inside of that sport. So when you say AL East is difficult, I'm thinking like every team is difficult. Every
Yeah.
place to be in the major leagues is difficult. There's only 750 guys doing this at one time in the world out
That's
of
true.
almost 8 billion right now. And it's just like, I can't tell you the pressure. I can't tell you the stress. I can't tell you the sacrifice and the commitment and the determination and just the grit to be able to wake up every single day just to show up to the ballpark, let alone fight for a starting position and let alone go out there and win the battle on the field as a pitcher or a hitter. And as a hitter, I have one pitch in at bat to do anything with. And if I don't take advantage, if I'm not in the position to be focused and in present and relaxed in that moment, I'm not going to have success with that at bat. So I wish I would never do it again. I'm glad I'm not playing baseball anymore.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the opportunity, but I'm so grateful not to have to wake up and deal with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
That part of my life, because I just can't convey it enough to your listeners. It is so difficult to play baseball, and mentally, emotionally, physically. And the thing that's a crummy part of it is it looks so darn easy on TV,
Sure.
right? Because you can see the ball coming in, and you don't have the pressure on you and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
fans telling you that you suck and you're a loser, and fans calling you in the
Yeah.
middle of the night and hanging up on you. Like I could go story after story after story of how the experience is. But on the same hand, I am so grateful to have the opportunity to experience that.
Definitely. Well, yeah, I mean, when you speak about difficulty in baseball, I know ESPN, I think a few years ago came out with a list of like 60 sports and ranked them based on difficulty. And I know baseball was in the top 10 because of just how skilled you have to be able to hit a fastball, for example. The average person on the street is going to have no chance at hitting even probably a changeup. So,
and the thing is that the average person in any other sport at the professional level has no chance of hitting a changeup.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
the thing that's different. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It's not saying that baseball is better or whatever. It
right.
is. It's just. It's. Man, I mean, Michael Jordan tried to do it. He's the best basketball player ever, and
That's
look what
true.
happened. He couldn't even. Like it's just. And like I said, graciously, I say that with a loving heart, and not saying that because I don't even really care about baseball. That was my past life,
Right.
but it's very difficult. But the thing is that there's so many beautiful things that baseball can teach our kids
Sure.
about life, about failure, about sticking at it, about the love and the reciprocity that you have to give to it. And I think a lot of that's being left out of the game anymore because broken focus is the number one reason for failure. And that's what I do now. I try to help people work on the internal game and understand that the focus and the answers to their questions that they're trying to seek are on the inside of them.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's really cool. Um, Now, thinking back a little bit to like your first game that you played in the majors, do you remember that first at bat and what it was like?
Yeah, I do. I do. And I hit a fly ball to right field, and I was so in awe that I was in the major leagues because there's no reason why I should have been there. I was the first guy to come to the major leagues for the Red Sox from Double A
Oh, wow.
for 30 years.
Wow.
So it was like, how am I even here?
Yeah.
And I didn't really run too hard to first base, my first at bat in the major leagues. And after the game the next day, the manager called me in the office, Jimmy Williams, and he says, "Hey, I need to talk to you." "Yes, sir." He says, "You better run your ass hard to first base, or else you're not going to find yourself in the big leagues." I said, "Yes,
Yeah.
sir. I didn't mean to. I was just overwhelmed. That's not my character. That's not how I play the game." So
Yeah.
it was really funny. But my first ground ball hit to me at third base. Mind you, I came to spring training as a catcher and I've been
Yeah.
catching, didn't really have any verseness of playing third base. It's two outs in the first inning. This is Melvin Mora is on first base for the Orioles. Pedro Martinez is pitching bottom of the first inning, and first ground ball hit to me. It was a nice little easy candy hop ground ball. like really, really like routine. Like you could probably get an average person off the street to field this ground ball. So I didn't want to go throw to second base to get the first out, the lead out, because it's my momentum's going in. It's easy just to keep going towards first. So I pick it up and I throw it, release the ball towards first base. And after I released the ball towards first base, I was like, no, 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 no. I threw the ball in the stands,
Oh
like
my
third
God.
row into the
Okay.
stands. Like, and if you guys don't know, the stands behind first base in Camden Yards, it's not like it's pretty far. So
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just launched this ball and I was like, oh my gosh, ESPN, I am completely embarrassed right now. Don't show me, don't show me. So anyways, with a two, when you throw the ball in the stands, it's a two base error. So
Yeah.
Melvin Mora on first base would go to third base, and the guy that hit the ball would go to second base. So they said timeout, boom, go to third base. So Melvin Mora didn't touch second base when he went to third base. He just kind of went across to cut the grass. Pedro Martinez saw that, put the ball back in play. He stepped off. He appealed second base because Melvin Mora didn't touch second base, and they called him out. The inning's over, and they took away my first error in the big leagues. And I was like,
Wow.
"This is going to be a long career." So I very well remember my first day in the major leagues. I was on the field during the national anthem, and I had tears like Niagara Falls coming down my face because I was like, "I did it. I'm here." I rose. Everybody said I couldn't do it. Everybody said you're not going to be able to make it. And I had so much doubt and so much negativity and so many limitations all around me, and I did it. And I was so proud of myself, but on the same time, I had a little bit of pain inside myself of a confliction of who I was because I lost who I was through the process.
Yeah. 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 I mean, that's pretty mentally draining over time. It sounds like. Sure.
Mentally, emotionally, identity, everything. You have to put your whole soul into it. If you're not prepared to be able to navigate those waters,
Yeah.
the game will chew you up and spit you out. It has a really, really good track record of doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. That's true. Um, Kind of on another note, I was wondering, do you remember what your walk-up song was that first at bat?
Absolutely. Oh, not the first at bat because I didn't choose one.
Okay.
When I played in the prime of my career, it was Eminem, "Lose Yourself." Eminem,
Okay.
the rapper,
It's a good
and
choice. Yeah.
yeah, it's a really good choice on the field because if you do your research with Eminem, the rapper, he's the first white guy that apexed the mountain in the African
Yeah.
American world of rap, and but he was really angry. So that anger that I had inside myself, I was able to tap into that in that pain inside myself to fuel myself to compete and go out there on a consistently nightly basis to compete. But that's not really a healthy place to operate from, and it creates
Right.
toxicity in your life. So I would continue to listen to Eminem off the field, and and that would drive the negativity and the anger and the rage and the hurt and the sorrow and the pain, all that inside me, and that would ultimately put a wedge between myself and me, and then my relationships, and it led me to a bad spot in my life. But yeah,
Yeah.
Eminem, "Lose Yourself."
Yeah. I mean, I never really thought about that. I mean, I guess, yeah, people can, yeah, I mean, I never really thought much about how people choose walk-up songs, but yeah, I guess it definitely can play a role in terms of what's going on in someone's personal life and in their head. Um, that could be a factor at play in terms of why they chose that specific song. That's interesting. Yeah.
100%. So you choose those songs because it kind of puts you into the moment, right? It's kind of
Yeah.
like, okay, you hear something audibly and it puts you into that moment to where you're present so you can block out and alleviate all the external distractions. Like y'all don't realize when you're on the baseball field in the batter's box, it's just you they're focusing on.
Yeah.
40,000 people. It's you and the pitcher, nobody else. So it is very difficult to be in that position and not let your focus stray from a specific focus to a generalized focus. And when you have a generalized focus, like, oh my gosh, these people, this and that, fear creeps in and you have no chance. So songs are very important to us as players and meaningful.
Yeah. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about when you made the All-Star team and what that was like and how you sort of got into that rhythm where you were, just playing great baseball and just sort of dominating with your hitting performances and
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, like I just revert back to if you talk to every successful person, everybody that's apexed the mountain in their career, that's summited that mountain, that's like, okay, I'm having a tremendous amount of success. What happens is you master the small thing. It's just when guys came to the field, they would just go with very little intention of how they prepared for the game, of how they put themselves into the game. And so many guys get to the top level of Major League Baseball, and what happens is like I got here. I weathered the storms of the minor leagues, and I'm in the promised land, and they're carrying my bags. We're flying private jets, and I'm cashing $1 million paychecks, and I can do anything and whatever I want. And then they settle. See, I still show up and work on level one, which is mastering hitting off the batter's tee, because that was a tool. That's a tool to train a specific feel with a specific focus. And then I go in with intention with everything that I did. When I got to the ballpark every single day, I knew exactly what I could tell you exactly what I did verbatim all day long. I take off my wedding ring, I put it in my wallet, put my wallet into my locker. I take off my hat, and I take off my shirt, and I take off my shorts, and I put on my shirt, put on my sliding shorts. And after that, I go to the jacuzzi for 8 minutes. After jacuzzi, I come back and I dry off with the towel, and like all day long. Like you have to have a system. You can't just meander through life. This is how you take control of your mind, because the thoughts that ramble through our mind are not our thoughts. That's the thoughts from externally. We're the observer of our thoughts, and how we entertain those thoughts dictates how we take action of what we do. So I just looked, and I just did, and I did, and I performed, and I just put my head down and worked and trained and took care of myself. And then my second year in the major leagues, they always say you have a sophomore slump, right? When you go to the major leagues after your rookie season, because they figure you out and you got to make adjustments. But I was consistently making adjustments. I was consistently trying to seek the best version of myself. I was consistently trying to learn and be a student of the game. And that's what you have to be, as a student of life. So I turned on the TV for some reason, some way, somehow. I don't even know why, in June, and it just so happened to be on ESPN, and they were showing the All-Star ballots, who was leading each position. And they showed third base for the American League, and here Shea Hillenbrand's lead. I'm like, what? How am I leading? like I'm leading everybody? Like, and then Robin Ventura was second place behind me with the Yankees. And I just put my head down, man. And that's all you could do.
Yeah.
I knew exactly what I needed to do. I stayed inside my lane and worked on what I could work on, because I knew how I could work. I couldn't compete against Barry Bonds or Manny Ramirez or David Ortiz or Albert Pujols or all these guys that are superstars, like superhuman. I can't compete against them. So I can't compare myself against them. I just go and say, hey, this is who I am. I'm a level 7 player. I'm going to compete against 10s, 11s, and 12s, but not just compete. I'm going to have success. And here I am walking to the All-Star game into the hotel in Milwaukee in 2002 as the starting third baseman. Alex Rodriguez was the starting shortstop for that game. And we're the first two guys, I believe, in Major League Baseball that had the birthday on the same day. We were born on the exact day, 7/27/75, to play third base and shortstop. That might be something you could research. That'd be good for you.
That is interesting. Yeah.
But I'm sitting there on the field, and it's just like, I can't believe it. You go to your hotel room, and there's bags and bags and bags of stuff from your sponsors and Adidas and Nike and shoes, and they make custom spikes, custom shoes, just one-off shoes for you for the All-Star game. And it's just, you go in the club, it's like just a parade. It's the who's who, and it's just, it's a whole experience. Like it's you can't even fathom it. So what I didn't realize until I was in the All-Star game is that for the home run derby, the balls are wound tighter, like Super Balls, so they go a million miles further. That's why there's so many home runs in the home run derby. So we would have batting practice before the home run derby as a team, the American League and then the National League. And then when I was taking batting practice in Milwaukee, I was hitting balls like in the top deck and almost out the windows. And then Alfonso Soriano and Jason Giambi and Barry Bonds would get up there, and Sammy Sosa, and they're literally hitting balls out of the stadium. I'm like, how is this possible? What is going on? Like, oh, you didn't know? The balls are wound tighter. It's the balls I use for the home run derby. And then I got to sit on the field for the home run derby, on the field, watching it right there. And I'm like, how is this possible? Master the small things. So such a beautiful experience that nobody could take away from me. And I earned that. And I worked hard for that. And it was something that I will cherish for the rest of my life. And it's something that very few people get to experience. But I'm thinking, like, how did I get to do this? Because not many people know that after high school, I didn't have zero options to play baseball after high school. I walked on, tried out, for a local community college in Arizona, Mesa Community College. And the only reason I made the team, because my work ethic. First guy there, last guy to leave every day. Showed up with intention. Showed up with mastering the small things. Then after my sophomore season of playing junior college baseball, I had become the #1 baseball player at the junior college level in Arizona, give myself a chance to get drafted by the Red Sox.
That's awesome. Yeah, I mean, wow. Yeah, very, very cool. And yeah, definitely inspiring. I feel like this, just shows that people are capable of doing a lot more than they may think
Oh,
initially. Yeah.
100%.
Now, I'm curious, one of the things I always enjoyed is I went to a lot of baseball games growing up. That was one of a big bonding thing for like me, my dad, my brother. We'd go to baseball games. I remember filling out those all-star ballots that they'd give you at the game, poking little holes in the pen in them. Did you as a player, did you know players on your team that would fill out all-star ballots?
No, but there would be fans, and I remember Junior Spivey with the Arizona Diamondbacks when I made the All-Star game in 2002. I think because I live in Arizona, I think they did a huge rally, like to push everybody to vote for him and vote for
Yeah.
him and vote for him and vote for him and vote for him. But it's funny because you just gave me a huge epiphany in my life, because a lot of people go to baseball games to bond with family members, friends, or whatever. But when I was a kid in LA, I was a diehard Dodger fan. And this is the 1980s. And the consistency of a diehard Dodger fan in the 1980s is you must show up in the third inning and you must leave in the seventh inning to beat traffic. Because if you don't, you're going to be stuck in traffic for hours.
Yeah.
And you always listen to Vince Scully, the voice of the Dodgers, on the radio. I can remember many a nights where Vince Scully put me to sleep with his soothing voice and his soothing stories and pouring. I have the goosebumps right now, pouring into my dream.
Yeah.
Like just making that dream come alive. So I'd sit at the top deck of Dodger Stadium when I was a kid, and I wouldn't even talk to anybody. I'd have my mom over here and my best friend over here, but I wouldn't engage with them. I wouldn't bond with them. I had my nachos in one hand and my chocolate malt in my other hand, and I would bond with my dream. I would bond with that vision and that dream that was given to me to say, you know what? I'm going to be down there someday. I'm going to be down there someday. I will be down there someday. I never got autographs. I never talked to the players. I never did any of that stuff. I didn't even have a favorite player. People always ask me, who was your mentor? Who'd you look up to? Nobody. I looked up to my dream. I looked up to the big league Shea Hillenbrand, and I bonded with that. And I always envisioned Vince Scully calling my name, now coming to bat, and telling stories about myself like he does with so many other guys that come to home plate, and he'd tell these stories. And in 2002, I'm playing for the Red Sox, and we're going to play the Dodgers Interleague. The first time Shea Hillenbrand is ever going to play in Dodger Stadium. And I had dreams for 2 weeks coming up to that day. 2 weeks, not to win, not to hit game-winning home run, not to be the hero, but to be down there at third base on the receiving end of that bond, of that dream, and looking up into the stands where that 9-year-old Shea Hillenbrand sat and say, we did it, buddy. So I go to my buddy on the plane, who's our athletic trainer. He kind of trains us and does this stuff, and he's Korean. His name is Chang Lee, and he happened to train Hideo Nomo in the off season. Hideo Nomo was going to be the first pitcher that we face of that series. It's a 5-hour flight from Boston to LAX. So I go up to Chang Lee on the plane and sit next. I say, Chang, what's my approach? Remember, it's a chess match. If you're not prepared for it, the game will chew you up and spit you out. So I sit next to Change, like, what's my approach? What should I do? You know Hideo inside and out. He says, don't worry. Sit the fastball. I was like, you know how your dog looks at you like, what? He's got that Ginzu changeup, and he's got this funky windup, and his go-to pitch is this. Don't worry. Sit the fastball, Shea. So I go back to my seat on the plane and finish the 2.5-hour flight, scratching my head like, I guess I'll have to go with the fastball.
Yeah.
I go down there on the field, and I'm sitting on the field, first time ever, Dodger Stadium. And Vince Scully is calling my at-bats. Now coming to home plate, bright young star, Shea Hillenbrand. I ended up going 4 for 4 that game with 2 home runs, a double, and a single. I almost hit a ball out of the stadium. It was asinine. I have a video because it's on Fox on my phone right now. And that video brings tears to my eyes because I bonded with that dream as a kid. And so many people have a dream inside them. They have something that's been given to them, a talent and a dream. And we're so trying to seek what other people are doing. Must be nice to be them. And there's envious and jealous and have this strife inside of them because they don't think that they could do it. But if you lean into your dream and you lean into your gift and your talent that's been given to you, and you use that to serve the world, there's no greater feeling in the world. I'm standing at third base and I looked up and I said, we did it, dude. And it's so overwhelming. I don't know if many people will share this with you. When you experience a moment like that you've been dreaming for your whole life, it is so overwhelming. You can't process it. Like it's like like sensory overload. Like your internal operating system is like it's jammed up. So you just go. You're just in the flow and you just let whatever happens, happens. And that was probably one of the most illustrious moments of my career because that's when it really hit to me that, oh my gosh, I did that, what I dreamt about when I was a kid.
Yeah, I mean that's incredible, and I think you're absolutely right when you talk about. I think it's very easy for a lot of people in life to probably have a dream as a kid, and then as they get older, they kind of lose touch with that, and they kind of give up on it, and just instead kind of live vicariously through others. I think we see that a lot today with the social media, and maybe people are just watching sports or they're watching TV shows. It's very easy to distract yourself from ambitions that you have or once had. And it's definitely something that it's hard to see because obviously this is your moment in life to try to accomplish whatever you want to do. And it's unfortunate that people sometimes struggle to remember that and instead kind of just waste time, watching others do stuff and accomplish their dreams instead.
Well, because we believe we can't do it. And
Yeah.
that's till my last breath. I, I always ask people two questions. And the two questions are, number one, who are you? And number two, what do you want? Who are you, number one, and what do you want? And so many of us can't answer that. We always answer that, oh, I'm Shea Hillenbrand, two-time Major League Baseball player. Oh, I hit a game-winning home run on Mariano Rivera, and I'm first baseman, the perfect game, all this stuff. I made $20 million, this and that. That's not who I am. That's what I did. So we're always trying to build from the outside in, but we need to build from the inside out. And we got to sit quietly because those answers to you are wrapped up in your story and experiences that we go through in our life that keeps us bondage, like what you're talking about. And then we think that we can't do it because we have this glass ceiling over our head. We don't think we could bust through that. So what happens is like, how do you find out who you are? See me? Like they always talk about you can't go to the top without somebody helping you out. And I think we have that backwards. You can't do it alone. See, I tried to go to the top alone and I was at the top alone, but I couldn't sustain there. I left $50 million in a table of playing Major League Baseball, and I left in the prime of my career because I was empty and had so much pain on the inside of myself. But what happens is it's not about having a team or people around you. It's about being connected to a higher source. And however we define that, everybody's differently. It's not religion, whatever that might be. Like we are spiritual beings having a human experience. So we got to connect to it's got to be connected to a higher source. And the second thing that we need to do is be able to work. You got to work hard. You got to work hard answering those two questions. And you got to lean into that dream. Your dream and your talent will be revealed to you once you answer those questions. And once you answer those questions and have your dream and talent revealed to you and go out there and just serve. We got to serve. But the intention behind our service is everything, because whatever you put out in the world will come back to you. That's the third law of motion. Whatever you give will come back to you the same or more. So it's how you put out into the world. And we're putting negativity, we're putting fear, we're putting doubt, we're putting limitations, we're putting jealousy, we're putting envy. Must be nice. Social media plays off that. That's why they're making so much money, is because that's what we're doing. We got to put all that energy and effort into ourselves to answer those two questions. And once you answer those two questions, lean into that dream feverishly. And I want to go to my last breath of my life burnt out, every exhausted thing out of me, to give somebody hope and understand that you have something inside you that needs to come out. And it's only you that's responsible. Only you could do it. There's no 5 tips and tricks and techniques and cut corner. No, you have to go inward and you have to figure that out. But that dream, talent, and the answer to those two questions are wrapped up in your story.
Yeah, that's awesome. I really like the idea of, talking about like your story, because I mean, it is something that a lot of people just don't think about, and they should. This is your life is kind of like a book, and every day you're writing a new page of that story. And one of the things I always like to think about as a historian is when you think about something I've always been interested in is like thinking about ancestry, for example. You think about all the ancestors that you have that, survived all these things and overcame all these challenges just for you to be here today. It's like it's in your DNA to overcome challenges and be successful in life. And, looking at your story, for example, it's a great example of it. It's just, there's so many reminders that people can have that can motivate them to improve their lives and become that person they want to be. And so, yeah, it's really cool to hear about everything you've done. So,
You're exactly correct. And if you go back in history and your lineage, in your family history, when I say you, it's you in general. It's all of us. There's a point in time in this lineage, this family tree, that everybody was doing exactly what you just said, surviving. And there's one person in the family line that says, you know what? There's something greater out there. I know there's something inside me that's greater than who I am. And I know there's something that I have in my life that's going to be greater. And there's something to change the trajectory of where my family is going. But I just can't put a finger on it. That's the person I want to speak to. That's the person I try to speak into, is that was Shea Hillenbrand. Like there's been nobody in my family to do anything to the level that I did, to make the impact that I did.
yeah.
So is that you? It very well could be you, that person that's watching this or listening to this right now. It's like, go inside. What's that calling? What's that mission? What's that purpose? What's that dream to change not only the trajectory financially, experience-wise, but the way your family thinks. If you could change the trajectory of the thought process, saying that we're going from a survival thought process to a thriving thought process, that's where it happens. Because like you said at the beginning, we all have potential in us that we'll never fully tap into. That's what I believe. It's asinine what we're capable of. I never thought I could do half the things I could do on a Major League Baseball field. I'm like, how is this even possible? I didn't know I could do this. It's just rising above that and pushing through it and showing up every single day with intention and shifting from trying to get to give, right? So I gotta serve people, and I have to serve people with significance. And when you serve people with significance, not just to serve people to try to get something back, to fill a void, to make yourself feel good, but to serve people with significance, that's a true definition of success.
Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Shifting gears a little bit, I'm curious, one of the things I remember going to baseball games a lot is I was always someone that would go early to games and try to get autographs. Me and my brother would always do this. We would be there very determined not to become professional baseball players, but for us, it was just to get autographs because we just enjoyed watching the game. And we'd go there like 3 hours before a game, wait outside the stadium, then go there.
What stadium?
What?
What stadium?
Oh, we would go to, so I'm from Kansas City area originally. So we'd go outside Kauffman and
nice. That's a cool place.
Yeah. That's right. We'd go outside Kauffman Stadium. My dad was originally from Baltimore, so we'd also go to Camden Yards every year or two and get autographs there. But yeah, I mean, we would collect autographs for basically anyone we could get autographs of. And it was just something, we weren't interested in selling anything. It was just collecting. It was just such a fun thing to do. And, so be either getting autographs by just going out there and trying to get players to sign for us, or, sometimes I'd get boxes of cards with autographs in it. We used to collect a lot of baseball cards. In fact, I actually got an autograph card of you once in a box of baseball cards. So it was like one of these prospects boxes where it had lots of minor league prospects in it. And I was like, sure enough, Shea Hillenbrand autographed baseball card, which I still have today. I was like, oh, this is awesome. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And so, I'm curious, when it comes to you as a player, were you someone that enjoyed signing autographs and interacting with fans, or were you more focused on just preparing for games? Or
that's a great question, and that's a tough area of your profession.
Yeah,
as a professional athlete, Major League Baseball player, to navigate those waters, because believe it or not, I don't know if it's a news alert. We're human beings.
Yes,
We
that's
do have
right.
feelings. We have emotions,
Yep.
and we care, and we get hurt. Our feelings get hurt, and we experience anger, and we experience all the same stuff everybody else does. So, um, I always made one pact though with myself. I said, whomever I take a picture with, I will always 100% of the time smile. I will never not smile in a picture. And you'd see it now that I bring it to your attention. You'll see players, there's a good number of that don't smile, or they give a half-ass smile,
Yeah.
or they're just like, whatever, like you're a bother. I'd always made a pact with myself, and I don't know where it came from. Maybe it's because I was going through the same thing internally with myself, trying to navigate my story of the things that I went through in my life. But I never knew what somebody was going to go through when they came to the ballpark and they had that interaction with me.
Yeah.
Sometimes maybe somebody will come to, you know what, I'm just going to go to one more baseball game before I commit suicide tonight. I've heard that, and I've seen stories, and I've been a part of stories like that, and it's greater than what you think. I'm going to go one more time before I just give up on my marriage or whatever that. And they go and they have that interaction, and they experience that interaction, and you give them hope to get through one more day. So with that being said, it was so difficult to sign autographs, because I could sign autographs for an hour, and then all of a sudden I have anxiety inside myself and pressure spewing up inside myself because I need to go in and I need to prepare for the game.
Yeah.
Like I'm rigid structure. Like do this and do this and do this and do this. There is no such thing, and it makes me laugh. There's no such thing as superstition. Zero. And when people do that stuff, it's entertaining to me, because like there's no such thing. What happens is you want your mind specifically focused on a specific process, a focal point, to be able to focus on, to alleviate the distractions, because we have the RAS, the reticular activating system in our brain, to be able to block out 95% of stuff that's going on, or else to drive us crazy. But what happens is a lot of guys don't know how to focus. So now it becomes a distraction, because they don't have a routine or a process or a system to implement to get them prepared, to keep them on task, so they can have self-confidence, because self-confidence demands evidence. So here I am signing 100 autographs, 100 people, whatever. I'm sorry, guys, I have to go.
Yeah.
101st person's, the dad of a kid that's been waiting for an hour, says, you're a DICK. You're an a-hole. You're an idiot. Like I told you before, we're human beings. That affects me, because I wish I could stay out there and sign autographs for 5 hours. And I would do it after the game.
Yeah.
I would do it all the time, but I couldn't. So when you say that to me, that affects me. Mm-hmm. That affects me to a point to where it's like, I don't even know how to function it anymore. Because if I don't have baseball as an identity, and if I don't go perform tonight, I'm not going to have a job. And if I don't have a job, I'm not going to have an identity. If I don't have an identity, I might as well put a pistol in my mouth. This is what we're dealing with former professional athletes. I do it on a daily basis. The struggle's real, but we're celebrities, and it's like, oh, it must be nice. I wish I had your problems. Pull up the bootstraps. We're human beings. So signing autographs for people, you have to understand how to put boundaries and not walls, because what we do is we put walls up around us. We block everybody out, and we train ourselves with those patterns. And then when we go home to our family at night, now we have that wall up because we've had it up all day long at the field. We have it subconsciously up. Now we can't connect with our spouse. We can't connect with our children, and it just causes crap into your life. So I will ruin your dream if you want to play Major League Baseball, because I'll bring reality to it and be like, man, I wouldn't want to do that because it's stuff that you have to experience. I'm just joking, but it's really difficult. But signing autographs, it's really fun.
Yeah.
And I always did as much as I could, because I always knew at some point in time, somebody's not going to want my autograph anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm not doing that to be able to feed an ego thing. Oh, look at me, they want my autograph, because that's what everybody's looking for, as influencers and social media and all this crap. And it's so funny. You see all these videos of people sign autographs, like they have their autograph signature in the video, and they're like an influencer that sells coaching programs to sales. I'm like, autograph? Like, autographs are for people that have done something.
Yeah.
That people actually want to get. Like, why you put? So anyways, so I always thought that there's going to be a point in time where people aren't going to want my autograph anymore. And it's fizzled off. I'm 47 now. But that's one less opportunity for me to have an experience to speak hope into somebody, because
Yeah.
that's what life's really about, is providing hope for people.
Yeah,
I hope that
definitely.
answered your question, man. I always get on a tangent because it's so much deeper to me than just like signing autographs.
Well, for sure. I mean, absolutely. I think that's a lot of people, underestimate the human element of being a professional athlete and balancing those interactions with fans with your job, at the end of the day, and your career that you're trying to, preserve as long as you can, and you're trying to do the best you can. You've dedicated your entire life to a sport. You want to be successful at it, especially when you know that, tomorrow it could be all over. So I've always, I mean, and it's crazy to me that there'd be, parents that would get upset about stuff like that. I mean, I know it happens. It's just, I've always found that to be insane, because I always felt like, it's a, no one has to sign an autograph for you. I just thought it was great if someone does. That's awesome. But at the same time, people are human beings, as you point out. So that balance, I think, is super important for athletes to understand. Being able to balance. Yeah, you sign some autographs when you can. At the same time, you got to prepare for the game. And for fans, they also have to know that these are people who are doing a job, and they may not be able to sign for you. So I know there are times where some people weren't able to sign one day, but they might sign for me another day. It just depends on the situation. And I was always just happy to get any autograph. And it's, I think, in many ways, when it comes to professional sports, I've always found that baseball kind of has a different culture when it comes to fan interactions than a lot of sports. I always felt that baseball. I mean, I've gotten more baseball autographs than any sport ever, but it just seems like it's kind of like a part of the culture atmosphere of a baseball game is that there's potential to get, some autographs, at least when I was growing up. So I always thought that was kind of a really cool thing, and memories I've had for a long time, just being able to go to a game and get a couple autographs maybe, and then watch the game. So
That's the thing is like if you say that about baseball, like family, yeah, because you're with us every single day. Like we play every single day. I
yeah,
have 3 days off a month so we're with you. There's no other sport out there that you do that. It's every single day. And going back to the dad that gets mad for you not signing an autograph for his son, what comes to my mind is that, okay, that dad's not being a dad.
yeah,
He's trying to fill that void of him not being a dad by trying to get the son an autograph to get that son a feeling that he can't provide for his son. So now in return, he's going to get pissed off for you, and now he's going to ruin the experience for the kid, and whatever that might be. But that's kind of like falling by the wayside for the masses too. Like
yeah.
baseball card trading. They don't. They've priced that out. The kids can't even afford that anymore because all of the licensing agreements and all the money
Mm.
involved. And then a lot of kids don't do what you did. They don't show up. They don't commit because they're tied to the phone. So
Yeah,
the same feeling that you got by
yeah,
signing autographs was so easily ascertained within seconds right here. So that goes back to broken focus
yeah.
failure. So losing that opportunity, and I'm thinking like how did that make you feel when you would receive those autographs? How did that? Can you explain that to me?
Yeah,
How
I
that
mean,
like
yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, for me, it was, I was a big sports fan growing up, and I liked, lots of different sports, but it just felt like I had a connection to the game that was deeper than just, watching on TV. You felt like you had, a piece of that game, was kind of like, a part of your life all of a sudden. If someone would sign their name on a card for you or a ball, and you take that home, you always have that. And, it just creates, memories for people that they'll remember the rest of their lives. And it just provides this kind of enjoyment that, you won't get if you're not at a game. For example, if you're just watching on TV, I think the big thing when it comes to forms of entertainment for people, whether they're watching sports or going to see a concert, or when you're actually there in person at a concert or a sporting event, you feel like you've actually had a real experience with it. It's like you can go on vacation somewhere, or you can look at a video of what a place looks like, but it's never gonna be the same as going on vacation. So getting an autograph at a baseball game is way different than just watching a game on TV, because you actually have a personal connection all of a sudden to that thing. Um, and so it's just having an experience that brings memories, and just one of those great things about life is just collecting little memories that will last the rest of your life. Um,
it helps you keep you alive, helps you on the
Yeah,
right
yeah,
path. It helps you be inspired. It helps you to aspire to be something more than where you are. A lot of
yeah,
us baseball players don't ever get this. So I'm glad, I appreciate you sharing that to me, because I'm going to share that with the guys that are playing right now.
yeah, yeah,
I speak to the guys right now, like we take it for granted, right? Because it's like there's so much pressure, and everybody wants something from us as a player, like your family, your friends, and fans. And all of a sudden, when you start making a lot of money, like people remember me. What do you mean remember you? Like, I don't know, I don't remember you. Can I have this or that? It's just like I've given away millions of dollars to help people out. You know what I mean? So it's
yeah,
so difficult, and you lose sight. And the saddest thing that I experienced myself is the greatest thing that I could ever experience was using that platform to share my message and share hope and aspiration and inspiration, like you're talking about. I missed out on that a lot because I was so engulfed with the game. I was so like wrapped up into that to try to survive, because tomorrow's not guaranteed.
hmm,
I never once in my major league career sat there. We get paid every 2 weeks, and nobody gets a paycheck because it's direct deposit because it's too much money. And I never once pulled my pay stub or the whatever out of my locker, the statement, and said, "Man, I'm a millionaire." Because when I was 8 years old and 9 years old and 10 years old at the top deck at Dodger Stadium, when I was a kid running around the neighborhood, I'm going to be $1 million. I want to make $1 million. I'm going to be a millionaire someday. Not one time in the major leagues did I ever say I was a millionaire. And I was at multiple times over.
yeah,
And the second thing is on a Major League Baseball field. I never once during a pitching change, or never once before an inning, never once getting ready, whatever that might be. I never once on a Major League Baseball field said, you know what? I'm living my dream. I never did it. And that's what I regret.
yeah,
That's what a lot of guys go through that are living in that space, because the stories that we tell ourselves every single day just to try to survive at that level, because it's so hard to even function and survive, because it's such a high level of operation that you miss out on the opportunities that you have to be able to impact somebody else's life, because there's no greater feeling in the world to be able to do that.
yeah, yeah. No, certainly there's so much pressure involved. Yeah, to compete at that level, and it's hard to have that life balance and perspective to be able to take a step away from all the chaos of that moment, and just kind of reflect, I guess, on where you're at and how far you've come. So
I think that's in life too, bud. I
yeah,
think that's in life with
definitely,
everybody.
definitely.
There's a force and there's a principle called compound pounding. That's called invisible progress. It's just like, okay, how did Shea flip on the TV of becoming an all-star or whatever? It's compound pounding. It's invisible progress. And I look back. I've been married for 7 years now to my wife, and I look back at the beginning, and I was fat, bald, and homeless, and I was a piece of garbage. I didn't know how to communicate. I didn't know how to love. I didn't know how to look somebody in the eyes. I had a shattered soul. I had so many things that were against me from what I experienced and how I viewed my experiences and the stories that I told myself every single day of my life, that led me to a place where I felt hopeless in a relationship. And I looked 7 years later, and I'm like, how did I get here? Like I could look my wife in the eyes. I could have a productive, heartfelt conversation, and I could give love and not expect. I don't have to guard my heart and have to worry about intentions of people. Look, but the whole time through the last 7 years, it's been like, gosh, man, this is so hard. I can't believe it. Am I ever going to figure this out? Is it ever going to happen, Shea? Invisible progress, showing up every day, the
Yeah,
intention behind what you do. And that's what I want to encourage your audience, is that wherever you are, whatever you're doing, what is that? Who are you? What do you want? And attach yourself to a higher source, and then put the work in every day, regardless, and show up. And it's taking me a long time to get to where I am right now at 47 years old, because I had to rewrite my story. I had to rewrite my life at 40 years old. At 40 years old, after accomplishing everything in my life, the 2 childhood dreams I wanted as a kid, I was in the back of Mr. Murphy's class in 5th grade. And he says, we're going to dream today, guys. We're going to dream big. What do you guys want to do? And everybody's like, I'm vigorously raising my hand in the back of Mr. Murphy's class. Pick me, pick me. And he says, Shea, what do you want to do? I'm going to play Major League Baseball, and I'm going to own a zoo. And all my classmates laughed at me
mm,
because they thought my dream was insurmountable. They thought my dream was too big to become true. And I took it personal that day. And I said, I'm going to prove them wrong. By proving them wrong, I lost myself through that process. When I owned a zoo, I had 300 farm and exotic animals. I felt like I was Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. I
Yeah.
loved animals way more than I loved baseball. I apexed and summited that mountain of Major League Baseball, but I lost myself through the process. So at 40 years old, I had to rewrite this story. I had to rewrite this person. I had to tap into answering those two questions. Who were you? And what do you want? And if anybody wants to be able to understand that, and if they're moved by this message or whatever I have to say, I have a PDF for you. It just go to it's www.mystorynextdoor.com.
Yeah.
Mystorynextdoor.com. Just go there. Just give me your just put your name and your email address, and I'll send you the PDF that I used to design my story. And that's the foundation of how I had an Emmy award-winning story. I'm an Emmy award-winning story. And the biggest thing is that the Emmy Award is a byproduct, but the freedom that I experienced, the understanding, the clarity of what led me to where I was, the actions I took, the limited beliefs I took, the experiences I went through when I was a kid, allowed me to change my perspective, have a breakthrough, and to begin to heal. And when you begin to heal, you start tapping into a deeper version of yourself, and that clarity comes, and that cloudiness goes away of your perspective, how you view the world, and you start tapping into what you've been put here to do, and that's to give your dream to the rest of the world with your talent.
Yeah. Yeah, that's super cool. And yeah, I mean, it represents, all aspects of life for people. I mean, it doesn't matter, whether you're trying to become a professional baseball player or be, a successful doctor or anything, any dream you have, it's all relevant. Your
Baking
message is,
pies in the bakery,
yeah,
man. Some people are meant to
anything.
bake pies in a bakery to give people hope, because that
Yep.
experience of being able to eat a pie gives somebody an experience of euphoria, just like me cracking a home run in Yankee Stadium against Mariano Rivera doing the impossible. The same thing could happen by just an interaction through a website, or what you're doing with the history aspect of your profession, or everybody's different, and you don't have to do what I did. But when you tap into doing what you've been put here to do, and not what you think you should be doing, that's when you start to come alive. That's when the game changes. And that's when true purpose comes to who you are. So I challenge everybody to diligently try to answer those two questions and lean
Yeah,
into that dream, because it will be revealed to you, and it's going to take work.
for sure. Absolutely. Well, let's see a few more questions for you. Thinking big picture about baseball, how do you think the game has changed since you played?
The game, what happens is people get stuck in their ways. And the reason why I was able to get to Major League Baseball, I shared at the beginning of this, I was able to pivot. I was able to make adjustments. I was able to grow. I was able to be malleable with what I'm doing. The game is always going to change, because society evolves, technology evolves, the way we function evolves. Man, all I have to do is just click on my app, and I'll have something delivered to my front door, whether
Yeah.
it's a product, whether it's a
Yeah.
service, whether it's food, whatever, or whatever, like whatever. So it's like,
Yeah.
that's what the world that we're living in. Hence why they implemented the shot clock or the pitch clock or whatever
Yep.
that might be. If you don't understand how to evolve with where time's going, the industries are going, with life's going, then you will be left by the wayside. And when you're left by the wayside because you're so rigid in who you are, because you don't know what's led you to where you are, because your story that you tell yourself, then life passes you by. And when life passes you by, you get to the end, and I see it so many times where people say, I wish I would have. They sit there with regret that maybe I should have just gone along with it. Because since I have a problem with the shot clock, which I have a problem with them checking pitchers, whatever, I have a problem with them putting a runner on second base in extra innings, I'm never going to go to a game again. I'm not supporting that. But that doesn't matter to them if you support them or not, because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and these dudes are going to get paid, and the owners are going to get paid regardless if you're there or not. But what you're going to miss out on is exactly what you shared. Is that experience of interacting with the Major League Baseball player, connecting and bonding with something that brings life and substance to life. So if we don't not conform, but be malleable and understand, you know what? They're making the bases bigger. You know what? I can't take a guy out at second base anymore. I can't tell you how many times I got on first base. True talk, probably don't want to hear this. I would wish the guy behind me would hit a ground ball to the middle infield. I'd be leading off my secondary lead as a, please hit a ground ball. Please. I'm not even thinking about winning. I'm not even thinking about scoring. I'm thinking about blowing up the second baseman. I'm thinking about slide tackling the shortstop. I'm thinking about taking out Derek Jeter. I'm thinking about blowing up Robbie Alomar or Vizquel. That's what I'm thinking about. So you can't do that anymore. Would I enjoy playing the game? I don't know. But if you don't become malleable and understand that we're constantly changing, all of us are constantly changing. I feel like I'm better. I feel internally better than I did at 25 years old, my first year in the major leagues. And I'm 47. But I'm getting some gray. I'm losing my hair. I'm getting a couple aches and pains. My body's going to change. I'm going to change. My mind's going to change. Who I am is going to change. But what happens is people don't think they want to change. You got to grow. If we don't grow with the game, if we don't grow with the beautiful pastime of Major League Baseball, then you're going to lose out on the opportunities of what the game can give you. That joy and that freedom and that experience of being a part of something, the community, the family, the bonding, all that stuff. Because you don't want to see gambling on signs or patches on arms or jerseys or whatever that might be. Or how about the City Connect jerseys? Why in the living heck are the San Diego Padres wearing pink?
Yeah.
Like that's I can't comprehend that. But if I just don't get past that, which is a surface level thing, and allow myself to go deeper and see through that there's something below that uniform. There's substance there for me to learn and grow and attach myself to be a part of maybe a winning organization. I just want to see them wear those pink uniforms when they win the World Series.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a good point because, everything in life changes, especially baseball. One thing that I've been very interested in as of late, especially, when I think about baseball as a global game on the international level, is just how much other countries have developed baseball. I mean, look at Japan winning the World Baseball Classic again for the second time. I mean, baseball historically was considered sort of America's game, but now other countries are winning the World Baseball Classic again and again. What do you think about that as a former player and how much baseball has grown internationally and Japan becoming such a force in international baseball?
They view the game differently. The Latin countries, and I put Puerto Rico in that as well, even though Puerto Rico is part of the United States. They view the game differently. Broken focus is the number one reason for failure. And there's less than 50% of the players in the major leagues that are American. Less than 50%. And we sit here and gripe and complain, and we want our kids to go to showcases, we want our kids to go to perfect game, we want our kids to go to college, kids to go do this and that. And they don't know what it takes to go to the next level. It takes love. It takes reciprocity. I say baseball is like a relationship, a marriage. I have to give and I have to give and I have to give and I have to give just to receive one little nugget. I have to give and I have to give, I have to give just to receive one hit. I have to practice and I have to practice, I have to practice off the tee, off the batting machine. I have to practice, I have to practice, I have to practice just to get one double. I have to practice and practice and practice and practice. And then maybe 70 at bats later, I might crack a home run. I have to fail and I have to strike out and I have to fail and I have to go and see what happens is Latin America and Europe and Japan, they put the work in. They understand what the game can give them and what the game requires. And we're losing that here in the United States because we have a bunch of people that are entitled. Look at us. I deserve this. I can just pay my way to get on this baseball team over here. And if I don't get on this baseball team over here, it's the coach's fault. It's the organization's fault. If I don't go to get the right playing time at this college or this school, I'm just going to transfer. I'm just going to transfer. If you continue to transfer, you can never grow. If you continue to transfer, you can never have depth of who you are. All of us as a society, we keep transferring. We keep transferring and taking accountability and responsibility. My daughter was on a world's cheer team, a world's team, All-Star team. And I said, if she ain't doing the stuff, put her in the back. Whereas every other parent in there is pissed off because their daughter's not at the front row, at front and center, because she's doing it. So many people are like, my kids, if he's not playing right, put him on the bench, put him in right field, have him pinch run, because that's what life's about. Is you have to want it and you have to work. And the only reason that I was able to continue on, and I can't tell you how many times I heard it, must be nice to be you. I can't be friends with you anymore, Shea, because you're living my dream. These are my college buddies that we drink together, that we had the T-Bird circle, that we do tight-knit group. Like, people don't want to see you have success. Where's that substance? Where's that service? Where's that identity of understanding that I need to work? And they don't work. They just want to play games. They want the instant gratification. They want the results. They want the next quick trick. How do I get this? Let's get this formula. Then you see videos on YouTube and on Instagram of dudes in Latin countries hitting baseballs off of used tires. What's your why? That's where it lies. It's in the why. Why aren't there any of the top Major League Baseball players playing in a WBC for the United States?
Yeah. That's
it right there. It's a me mentality. It's a me. It was said multiple times that they said this home run I just hit in the WBC for my country will be greater than anything I could ever experience in a Major League Baseball player. You could have the World Series. This is what it's about, because it's the bonding, exactly what you said. It's the family. It's the community. It's the brotherhood. But when you get to the big leagues, there's no brotherhood. When you get to those levels, there's no brotherhood. There's no team chemistry, because you have to look out for yourself. When you're on the WBC or the Olympics, there's one common goal. If we don't win and we don't find a way to win, we're going home. Doesn't matter if I hit 7 home runs, not going to get paid anymore. So there's a different dichotomy, because we think that if I just get my kid here and do this, they'll go play. They'll go to a D1 school or a Division I university. They'll go to play professionally, whatever. They're missing a ticket. The ticket is who are you and what do you want? That's where it's at. And it's so evident. Yes. And it breaks my heart. And all my friends say I should be a big league manager. I said, no, they can't handle me, because I will not conform to any organization, because I care. I care about the players. I care about the people. And once you get to those levels, that's something that's very difficult to hang on to, because the pressure's what happens. So it was beautiful to see Otana strike out Trout for the last out of the WBC, who Trout is deemed the best player and Otana is deemed the best pitcher. And I think Trout handled it beautifully. Yeah. This is part of the game. I'm not a failure. Did I want to come through? Absolutely. Am I going to come through? I can't control the outcome. And so many of us try to control the outcome in our life or our business or what we're doing, but you can never control the outcome. You're giving away all your power, but you could influence the outcome by how you prepare and how you present yourself in that situation. Was Otana maybe a little bit more prepared to go and be able to understand how to present himself in that situation? Because ultimately, the pitcher's in the driver's seat when you're on the field. The odds are against the batter. Yeah. So you can't control the outcome. So what is it? Like the beauty of this is that at the end of the day, my Major League Baseball career is just a memory. It's just an experience. I never knew that you got my baseball card and had an autograph on it as I was a prospect and how that made you feel. That's an experience that I took for granted when I played Major League Baseball, because my heart was hardened and I had so many walls around me just to try to survive that level. So if we have a little bit of grace towards the people on the inside and say, you know what? Instead of saying, why did Tatis do this? Are you serious? He did this and did that. Tatis Jr. Maybe put yourself in his shoes and understand the pressure that he has and what he's trying to do with where he comes from. We forget to do that because it's so easy for us to judge other people. And when we stop judging other people and place that energy inwardly to ourselves to answer those two questions, who am I, what do I want to do, and discover that gift and dream and leave it into that and give that to the world, it changes. That's what Tatis is doing. He's trying to give his gift to the world, trying to bring hope and inspiration so people can aspire to do something that they didn't think was possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, hopefully, over time, people kind of rediscover, why they play baseball in the first place. Because I think, as you were talking about, I mean, I don't think most kids grow up thinking about playing baseball because, they think about making lots of money. It's because they want to play baseball and they want to, be a professional player. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about, um, the differences internationally between the US and how people treat baseball and how they think about it. I mean, it was pretty disturbing to see, how many star baseball players for the U.S. that did not show up, and didn't want to play because they want to, just they're just focused on their contracts and making money
And
in the
there's
major
various
leagues.
reasons behind that, right?
And
There's various
yeah,
reasons. So we can't
yep,
judge. Maybe the organization is putting pressure on like a Scherzer or someone that's like,
yeah.
okay,
I
like
think
we're
that's a
paying you.
part of it.
Like
Yeah,
Scherzer's the highest paid player this year. He's getting $46 million, right? So it's like, well, we don't want you to go out there and waste your arm on the
yep,
WBC. You know, we don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but you could just tell the purity. Just look at the Little League World Series with the American teams compared to the international teams. There's a totally different approach.
sure,
And I'm an American, and I'm a part of that group that's entitled. I'm a part of the group that represents that. And it's like I want to try to help change the perspective and try to change the culture of understand. Like, dude, you gotta work. Like, you suck because you don't work, right? Like you didn't get there because you didn't put the hours in and you gave up instead of just continuing to go on.
yeah,
And if we apply those simple principles to our life, and start leaning into who we truly are, I'm telling you, man, that's when cultures change. That's when societies change. That's when we can't rely on leadership. We can't rely on Bud Selig. Who is the leader? Manfred's the leader now of the MLB. Selig when I was there. We can't rely on the president or governors or mayor. Like we got to. It starts from the inside of dudes like you that would go to the games and express the true essence of what the game is. We need voices like yours heard. Like you just lit my soul on fire with the excitement that you had, and I saw the smile on your face when you're talking about when you go to the games early with your brother. Like where's that childlike wonder in
yeah,
people? We've lost
yeah,
that, and that's buried in our story. And that's why I want to help people design their story and share their story. I'm providing the platform for people to hear. Design your story and then share your story, because that's how you truly impact happens, is by sharing your story. I could sit here all day long and talk about, oh, I did this against this guy, I did that against that guy, oh, I did this in Major League Baseball. That's nothing. That's just fluff entertainment, surface level stuff to stroke my ego. But if I tell you, dude, I was lost and I was struggling, and 9 years ago, I was on the floor of a van because I overdosed on drugs and alcohol because I didn't know who I was because my identity was attached to Major League Baseball, that
right,
might capture your attention, right?
right,
So vulnerability, transparency is what's really going to make people come alive. See, we think vulnerability is a weakness. I hope they don't find this out about me. But when you do that, community happens. So I'm trying to provide a platform here. Design your story for free. Here, once you design your story, share it on my platform. And once we share our stories on our platform, we really realize we're all really similar. It doesn't matter where we come from, but we have this brand perception of people way up here are so much better in their gift and their talent and doing things they'll never do. No, once we share our story, we give other people hope and let other people know that you're not alone in this journey. That's where true community comes from, is through story. The power of your story is so far greater than what you think it is.
yeah, yeah, definitely true. And I mean, thinking about baseball in general, I mean, it, especially in the U.S., beyond just the players playing, it's also the people, watching. I mean, I think if more Americans were interested in watching the World Baseball Classic, players would probably be more interested in taking it seriously as well. In Japan, they had, like almost every, most of the population was watching the World Baseball
50,
Classic.
yeah, there's a
In the
high,
U.S.,
like
people weren't.
insanity amount.
I mean,
Yeah.
people that really like baseball were, but I knew plenty of baseball fans that didn't even know what was going on or weren't paying any attention to it at all. And so, as a culture, you kind of have to develop like this matters, and then you can get your, your star players also to think about it more about, hey, this is really important to all these people. I should be involved with this too. So, I think it's collective effort in general, but yeah, it's just key to building a strong community. So.
That's it. And that's how you make that. That's the way you make the game better, is make the players more accessible to the fans, to where you can create that bond. And
Yeah.
there's a way that you could do it to protect the player's privacy and his
Yep.
sanity and his internal, because whatever. But that's where the game needs to change. And so many people don't want to look at that because they want to look at the surface level stuff. But us as players, we have so many walls put up. We have so many fears, and I never trusted myself when I played. So how can I trust a fan or trust somebody else? How can I be present if I'm not present? Like we have the infinite mind. Excuse me. We have the finite mindset, right? So it's a finite mindset. Like the game's going to end. I'm going to have 4 at bats tomorrow. Another 9 innings. Another 9 innings after that. Okay. After 6 months, the season's over. After the season's over, I have 2 weeks off by myself. Then after 2 weeks, I have to train for 3.5 months, 9 hours a day, every day. And then after the 3.5 months in the off season, it's finite. I go to spring training for 5 weeks with 1 day off in the middle. And after that, I go back into 6 months. So everything's finite. And I was stuck in that finite mindset, and it puts you in a survival mindset. We need to switch that mindset from finite to infinite. Like this game is infinite. Like we're not going to live forever, but what are we constantly trying to seek? What do I want? I want to seek the highest, truest essence of who I am. And however long that takes, I ain't stopping until I try to get it. I'm not just going to go, okay, I'm going to do this job for 15 more years, and then I'm going to retire. Then I'm going to have my pension. Then I'm going to retire. I'm going to get a motor home, and I'm just going to go around. No. What is that? It comes from the inside of what we're trying to seek. So switching from finite to infinite is a really huge thing that we can do.
Yeah.
For the game.
Yeah, definitely. So, you shared a decent amount about what you're currently working on. Is there anything else you're working on that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I keynote speak all over the world. If you didn't notice already, I kind of have a
It seems
passion
like
for this.
you've given a few speeches. That's right.
This is the last thing that I thought I'd ever be doing. I was the most miserable person. I had a 15,000 square foot house designed behind a 13-acre block wall that was 7 foot
Jeez.
tall. I spent $350,000 on this block wall just to protect me from the public, because I thought the public was the enemy. And I wanted to sit on my front porch with my millions of dollars when I finished playing baseball, saying, F the world, forget you, I hate you guys. But what I realized is that God had a different plan for me. And once I started leaning into my dream, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I realized that I hated myself. That's why I hated other people. And this is what happens with so many successful people. So right now, I keynote speak all over the world, and then I do masterminds, and then I have a coaching and training program with some of the stuff that I teach about performance, about gaining momentum in your life, because ultimately what we want to do is create agency. We want to create agency in our life, meaning taking back control of our life so we can control the narrative in our personal life and our professional life. We don't want life to dictate what we're going to do. We don't want our job to dictate what we're going to do. If I show up and understand how to control the narrative of how I approach my job or my profession or my relationship or myself, then I'm creating agency, and that's where freedom comes from. So I'm doing that. I'm doing the training programs. I have that mystorynextdoor.com. If you go to that, I'll give you the PDF to design your story.
Yeah.
It's going to help you out and help us create that community. And then from there, I'm writing a book.
Awesome.
Right
Okay.
now with Mark Victor Hansen, who is the true guy behind Chicken Soup for the Soul. And I'm diligently trying to get that put together to put out there, because I have a really cool message that I think is unique in the book that I think that will really, truly impact people's lives. So think about kind of like a Tony Robbins kind of guy. That's kind of stuff that I'm aiming to shoot for, is to be able to get on stages, to be able to get in front of people. I mean, I go to prison transformation programs. I spoke at a homeless shelter last week. I'm going to a corporate event in the beginning of June to talk to salespeople. And I'm just going to Major League Baseball. I'm going all over just to try to share my message of hope to help people create agency in their life.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for all you do. I mean, that's super cool because I mean, yeah, to be having gone through all the things you've experienced, obviously you're in a position to help so many people, and to be able to actually take advantage of that and actually help people, I mean, want to do that. That's really special. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
and what's the best way for people to follow you on social media then?
So I spend most of my time on Instagram, Facebook, and I almost said IG, but that's Instagram. Instagram,
Okay.
Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So it's either Shea Hillenbrand or Shea_Hillenbrand for IG. And then I'm on YouTube, starting to build up some stuff there. And then SheaHillenbrand.co is my website. So you can go there if you want to
Perfect.
go to a website that shows all my speaking stuff that I do for speaking, because I do enjoy speaking. So if anybody needs me to speak, don't hesitate to reach out. I'd love to be able to come in and shift the energy in your room, and we'll flip some people. I just did a mastermind 2 days ago, and people are like, "You don't know what you just did to my soul." I'm like, "Yeah, I did. That's why I did it." Because it's not me, it's something
Yeah.
higher. And
Yeah.
this, like, it's the only thing I'm confident in my life is that. And my
Yeah.
buddy just told me, he's like, "Dude, you're the Barry Bonds of motivational speaking." And I'm like,
There you go. That works. Awesome. Well, thanks
yeah.
again for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for the opportunity, buddy, for speaking to your community of people. I really take
Absolutely.
that with gratitude.